Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that little cute intro. So if you ever wanted to recreate a look like this, you would need body paint, an eyeshadow to match, some sleep, and a lot of patience. So I'm gonna walk you step by step on how I got this look. And like I said, all I really used was body paint and eyeshadow that was in the same color, and that's all I needed. I didn't need anything else extra. So I'm just leaving down a base color, and because I knew I wanted this look to be very shiny and glossy looking, I settled for a metallic face paint. So I'm using a very blue color, and then I'm doing 3 or 4 layers to give it the opacity I want. And I'm moving on to a purple, just blending it together so there are no harsh lines. And then I will move on to a fuchsia pink. Also the same, just blending everything together, making sure there are no harsh lines. And then I am moving on to this pretty aqua color. I don't want to say it's a blue color, but it's like a aquamarine color, like sea foam kind of color. And I'm just still blending that fuchsia and purple together. So here's the aqua color I'm telling you guys about. It's just so pretty to me, and thankfully I have eyeshadows in this color, and it was amazing. So I'm making sure my brush is not too wet, so while it's damp, I'm just going back into face paint, but I'm not wetting my brush anymore. I'm just kind of dry brushing on my face because I wanted the color to be lighter on my face than it is on the rest of my body. So I'm gonna go in with another layer on my chest, and then I'm just going to set it with the colors that match in eyeshadow. So for the blue, I'm setting it with the NYX Primal color in hot blue. For the purple, I am using the roller shimmers, and it's just called purple. And for where you see that fuchsia, I am using a color called mauve pink, and this is also the roll-on shimmer. All of this is by NYX, and you don't have to go out and buy this. It's just something I already had at home, and I absolutely love the way that mauve pink laid on top of the fuchsia. It gave like a pink rose gold. It was in person, it just looked really beautiful. And I'm just blending everything together. So every time I lay a color down, I go back in with the previous brush to blend everything seamlessly. And for the blue part, I mixed a shimmer roller in seafoam, and the pigment in Twinkle Twinkle. And I really love the way that looks. So as you guys can see, it looks just very glossy and shimmery and highlighted. So now this is where the real work begins. I'm just laying down the first line and base for where my scale is going to start coming to life. So I decided I wanted to make the first line really long and bigger, and make my scales go smaller as I go up my neck. But I also wanted to make sure my scales weren't symmetrical. I wanted them to kind of look like waves depending on how you look at it. I wanted it to not look so neat and symmetrical. So I just was doing the scales aligned but not symmetrical, if that makes any sense. So this really, you have to have a lot of patience. Take your time, don't rush, because this is what took me the longest. Just take your time, don't be in a rush, and your look will come together fine. So like I said, I'm just making sure as I go up my chest, my scales are getting smaller. Not significantly, but smaller enough where you can tell the difference from the baseline and the top right there. So I kind of gave myself like a cool collar, and you guys can see it kind of, to me anyway, it looks like waves, and it's not so symmetrical. So now I'm just shading that blue part with a deeper bluish purple to give it some dimension. I'm just shading a lot in that area, and then I'm going in to highlight. I skipped a lot of the shading because that also took a really long time, but honestly all I did was shade and highlight. So how you would contour and highlight, that's basically what I did with the eyeshadows on here. And the eyeshadows I used to set is what I'm using to highlight, believe it or not. I'm not doing every single skill either. I'm just picking and choosing the area that I feel like would give it more life, and I'm just adding some color. In that top area, a lot of the colors faded out. It faded out the black, and I realized later on down the line, I really liked the look it gave, so I just left it alone. Now I wanted to really block out my brows, but as I was going, I didn't want her to look too alienish, so I just left it lightened and I didn't set it, so when I put other colors on it, you can see my brows through. So I basically just put an eyeshadow primer on, and now I am using just a black face paint to carve out my eyes in kind of like a oval, upward oval, vertical oval, horizontal oval, whichever one that is. And now where there's no black, wherever I created that new circle, now I'm leaving that space alone because I want to create a very green look on it. So on the outside, I'm just shading. I'm not really making that neat either. I'm just making sure that area is darker than my eyeshadow. And right now I am using the color Seafoam, and I'm placing that all over my eyes. And then that brighter green that you guys see is the Twinkle Twinkle shimmer or pigment I told you guys about earlier. I'm just placing it all over. If you want this look to stand out a lot on the eyes, you can use glitter primer, but because I knew I was going to take a shower right after, I didn't, and it still stayed put. It wasn't runny or anything like that. So now I am using a color called Poolside, and I am mixing it with a black to give me a nice contour. There's a reason why I didn't want my face to be the same shade or the same opacity as my chest of blue. I still wanted it to be light so you can still see my skin through it. Like I said, I want her to still have, like, you know, woman features or girly features. Human features is what I'm trying to say here. Human features. I didn't want it to be so alienish. So now I'm just carving out and contouring my nose and placing that same green and black color over my brows. And you can kind of, you know, depending on your face shape, you can kind of determine how you want your highlight and contour to be. Now, the pigment I used on the eyes is what I'm just using to highlight here. It's not so much of a color, whereas you can see my skin through it, and that's really what I was going for. It was very pretty. So I'm mixing that highlighter color and the contour color together. I'm just blending so it doesn't look so harsh. And now I'm giving myself a scale crown, if you will. I go in over the lines maybe 2 or 3 times to darken that color. You can leave it like this if you want it to look very light and barely detectable, but I wanted it to, you know, look darker because I knew I was going to go in and add more color, so I wanted the black face paint to show a lot on the forehead. And I'm just adding more scales. You don't have to add this much if you don't want to. I just wanted something nice. And I went in to put dots around my lips, but I didn't like it, so I'm just gonna line it and put some eyeshadow. In another clip you guys will see But back to my chest, I'm outlining some of the areas where I highlighted, and the highlighter took away any of the black lines I had. So that's all that was. So now where I have the contour, I decided I just didn't want to leave it like that. I also added a little bit of scales there to give it a nice look to the whole face. Going back in with that twinkle twinkle that I used on my eyes and basically everywhere else, I'm just adding some color to the crown and doing a little bit of finishing touches on my eyes. So the black and green color that I used to contour is what I'm using on my lips, and then in the center I went in to add Twinkle Twinkle, and it just gave it a brighter look, as you guys can see here. And this is the Glide On, the Stay On Glide On. It's a long name for this eyeliner, but it really does not budge. And this is in the color Azure, also by NYX. And now the purple that I used to set the purple on my chest is what I am using very, very, very lightly under my eyes. I wanted to bring some of the colors on my chest onto the face to make it very cohesive and blend it all together. So the brush I used to highlight, I'm gonna mix the purple and the contour shade together so there's no harsh spotless line on my face. And I'm looking very highlighted. I went back in to add more scales because I just felt like I needed more to give some more impact, and that's all I'm basically doing there. And any finishing touches that you feel like you want to add to your look, you can do. You don't have to add as much scales as I did. So now I'm going to add some gems because I feel like my eyes could use a little powwow. Or a little pow pow. And I added more green to the forehead because I just wanted that to also stand out. So everything came together when I added more color to the forehead crown and the gems, and I added a little more silver to the blue on my fingernails, and I just added my crown, added my wig. If you want, you could put some lashes on. And if you don't feel like it, you don't have to. And this is it. Guys, enjoy, and I hope I make it to the top 30. And I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.